Hello, welcome back to the Mobile Motorbike Mechanic channel. I'm Steve. Today, slightly different video. We're not actually going anywhere, but we're just doing the intro in the van as we normally do. But we're gonna have an unboxing video. Because we've had a machine arrive. So let's get home and we'll show you what machine it is. Right folks, here we are at home and we've bought ourselves a Rabaconda. Not a big snake, it is a tyre changer apparently. So let's open it up and have a look. See what's in the box. And what's in the box? More cardboard. Dun, dun, dun. Operator's manual and some stickers. And then, how's that? I'm assuming that's a big bag to stick everything in. And then we've got bits. And bits, and bits, and bits, and bits, and bits. Right. The hell is all this lot? I have no idea. Now, I'm not doing tyre changes as part of my services. This is for my own personal use, but I have been asked to do a review on this. So, let me get all this lot unpacked and we'll come back to you in a minute. Right, so this is pretty much everything unboxed. We've got a couple of hub adapters. So one for BMW, one for BMW, one for Ducati, and a universal big hub. So those will come into play later. I'll leave them over there. But everything else is here. These are for actually getting the tyre off. We'll use them in a bit. So let's build this lot up and then explain exactly what the hell it is, because I ain't got a clue. And to do that, I'm going to have to read the instructions because I ain't got a clue what I'm doing. Right, so I think we've got the main parts out of the box, as it were. So first things first, I'm going to open up that leg, and you see there's a little rubber foot on the back of that one, and there's a locating doodad that goes into that one. So that's that, and then you get a little bolty screw doodad and pop him in. Because I've never actually seen a video with one of these being assembled. Now, quite neat little design trick is you can push that and rotate it out of the way. So get it nice and flat. I like that, that's quite handy. We put the top one in. Oh, forgot to lock it off. Put the top one in and do the same again with the little turny what's it. So these little screws, the bottom one not so much, but the top one means you can adjust the height and that will come into play later. So again, we'll lock him out of the way to make sure that surface is all nice and flat. Then we get these bits here. Now I don't understand exactly how these go on, but apparently they're meant to go on there. Right, so these wheel support pads, just had a look in the instructions. The instructions are actually very, very good. They're quite clear. A little bit difficult to understand, but quite clear, so the pictures help a lot. So these wheel supports they just slide up and down on this main shaft. But what you do is you put the old long bolt through, and you do it off the thing, just like that, and then it actually clamps the two sides of that together. So that's then stuck on. Then you can just slide it around, put it wherever you need. You only need these pads if the middle of the wheel doesn't support when you're taking the tyre off. So I'll come back to that in a bit with these. But for now, I'll fit them on so that we don't lose any of the parts. Thread on that one's a bit. It's starting to free up. So yeah, again, that's just friction fit really. And then we've got our top piece, which goes in, and again, depending on which size wheel you're doing, it goes into one of the two holes, and then you put the main arm in, and that's that done. And that's that assembled, allegedly. So that's it, simple as that. You notice there's a little grub screw on the top there, so it won't come out, it has to be turned. It goes in on that shaft on the keyway, so it can't come out. So it can't pull out. Right, but that's the machine assembled, with the exception of putting the wheel spindle in. Now the wheel spindle itself depends on the size of the wheel spindle on the bike. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab a wheel and I'll be back in a second. One wheel acquired, and as we can see, that is starting to delaminate. We've had far too much fun with that one. Some viewers may recognise this off a certain Fireblade, but yeah, it's well and truly in need of replacement. So to mount this onto the tyre machine, you get two spindles, one big, one small. I can't remember the exact dimensions because I haven't read it in the book. I think one's 19, one's 12, something like that. So you find whichever one's the best size, and then they also supply you with some stepped collars. I'll show you that in a minute. That into the machine and it screws in, so it becomes nice and solid. Notice I haven't used any tools yet either. So apparently this entire thing should go together, come apart without using any additional tools. So that onto there, and then we mount the wheel onto that. So, just like that. And that's where these little blocks come into play. So we don't want it on the disc like that. We want it actually on the edge of the wheel. So I just need to adjust that one. So if I pull that up and pop it on there, I'll pull that one down a little bit. There we go. So the disc isn't being damaged, and we've got the cush drive off the wheel as well. Right, these are the three stepped bushes that they supply. One for the front wheel, which is the 12mm I think, and then the other for the 19mm. So if your wheel's not sitting correctly, you can use the step bushes to hold it properly. Right, so with the tyre mounted, next thing we need to do is let all the air out of it. So the quickest way of doing that is with a valve key. Don't lose the valve and ping it off into the middle of next week. There you go. So we'll go and put that somewhere safe, so hopefully we don't lose it. Right, so tyres nice and flat now. So pop the bead breaker doodad on, and as you can see, it doesn't line up with the wheel. So what do we need to do to line it up with the wheel? I believe we just need to raise that up a bit. There you go, that's in line with the wheel, maybe a little bit higher. Just about there. Right. Proof of the pudding's in the eating. No, that needs to go up a little bit higher. Remember folks, this is the very first time I've done this with this machine, so let's see. It's sliding down the tyre and not getting the bead. A little bit finicky. Let's try it now. Nope, missed. Let's try again. Because you know when they do this on demos, it's all been set up 3 times and they've done it exactly how they want it to do it. Yeah, if you go and have a look in here, it's definitely breaking the bead. There we go. That's got it. And then you just spin the wheel around a bit. Spin the wheel around a bit. Yep. Spin the wheel around a bit. That was, yeah, there you go. It's definitely broken the bead. So, Rabaconda. Turn it over. And do the same again. Now this time it should be a little bit easier because we've got it all lined up. Come on. There he goes. Right. That is that bead broken. Right, now got to get the tyre off. So this is the duck head. I suppose it kind of resembles a duck. And we've got a little plastic collar that we need to pop in the middle of it. Oh, I think that's for the smaller spindles. Yes, it is. Right. So he goes over the top, and as you can see, it's bloody miles out. So we've got to get that onto the wheel rim. You can see it's just on the wheel rim there. We'll tighten that down so that's at the right distance, and then this ratchets. So now we've got to pull the tyre over the top of that and then ratchet it round and away we go. That was pretty straightforward to put that on. Got a couple more bits. So now we've got that pot on, we need to rotate it around to the 6 o'clock position, get your pin and drop it in one of them holes there, and that will stop the wheel from turning. Okay, if that doesn't catch a spoke, you can drop these blocks out and drop it down a bit, but that's catching, so that's good. Right, that's at the 6 o'clock position, and we are ready now. So what we need to do is we need to put the tyre down into the drop centre. At the same time, we have the other side of the tyre and pull it over. God, this is going to be the difficult bit, I can see. Come on now. It's definitely in the drop centre, but that is proving to be the difficult bit. And you can lock it there. Whew. That was a bit of a bugger. Right. So, tyre is starting to go over. And apparently, all we need to do is begin to rotate. He says, fucking hell. Oh yeah, it's going. There we go. That's fallen out. Cool. Look at that. Well, that wasn't too bad at all. That was not too bad at all. And as you can see, that's one bead of the tyre off. With one bead broken, we need to break the other bead. So we'll just pop the tyre into the drop centre, reach through with the tyre lever and pull it up and rest it on its little perch there. And then it should start to pull. There you go. Whoa. Okay. So it's not right. It looks like we've come off the blocks. So these support blocks at the back, they're too tall. Just wondering if we can remove them completely. It's a bit difficult because we're in the middle of a tyre change. Has that dropped out? Yeah, it has. Right. Just going to move the whole thing down. There we go. That's better. And what that's allowed that to do is that main support pin now has come right through and it's hitting one of the spokes. Nice and solid. Let's try again. Yeah, there you go. That's got it. Just like so. One knackered tyre. Gone. Right, let's have a look at the rim. I haven't gouged it anywhere. I haven't taken any big chunks out of it, which I'm very, very happy about. And I'm not sweating like a complete numpty. That's pretty good, eh? I'm pretty impressed with that. Right. If it was that easy to take it off, let's try putting it back on. But I ain't putting that back on because that is completely and utterly shagged. Let's go and get another tyre. Brand new S21 battle axe. That'll do nicely. And as part of the kit, we've got some bead grease and a brush. So, first things first. Is that a... We'll get some bead grease and grease the bead. So all this does is helps the tyre slip over the rim. You can actually put this on after you've broken the bead to help the old tyre off. That's all you need. And we're only going to put it on one side to start off with. We'll come back and do the other side in a second. Because we're doing it on grass, I don't want all the grass to stick in the tyre. Right. Rear use only direction. So we're going to be putting it on that way. So the tyres going that way and the wheels going that way. So yeah, we're on the right way round. Very important. Right. Pop the tyre on. And oh, we're halfway there already, aren't we? Look at that, brilliant. Right, so first thing we need to do is pop your duck head back on again and get it in the right place and tighten that up. That's going to slide around on there, beautiful. And then we put the wheel over the tyre over the top. Now, make sure your direction's correct. Rear wheel only. Drive that way. Right, yeah, cool. Right. So that's in position. And then we can start rotating it on. Whoops. No, that's come off. That is completely bloody off. That didn't work at all. We haven't got that in the drop in the middle of the tyre wheel. There we go, that's better. A little bit of pressure on it. She's going on. That's not going on. And that's getting really tight. And I don't want to knacker the tyre. But he's not going to go. Why is he not going to go? There. Gotcha. That's one side on. Now what we've got to do is the other side. But first, we grease. So normally you'd do this off the wheel. Because we're on grass, I don't want it to pick up loads of stuff. Right, so first bead's on. We're ready to get the second bead on. We've just greased the wheel up, or the tyre up I should say. So what we're going to do is just going to start rolling it round. And what we need to do is, oh, you heard that pop. And that's putting the bead down into the drop well in the middle of the wheel. And we can grab one of these clamps and that will hold it down in there. And then we can go again a little bit further round. She's going. Oh, no, that ain't going anymore. It is getting there. It's a bit more of a faff than they show on their YouTube channel, that's for sure. But it's nearly there. There we go. And on. Woo. Right. All in, that wasn't too bad. So now we need to take the whole lot off and see where we're at. Ah, we made a mistake. So that there should be in line with the valve stem. Bugger. All right. Just have to take it off and do it again. Strap band's on. And you might notice the sun's moved around a fair bit. I've just had to take this tyre off and put it back on 6 times to line that yellow dot up with the valve stem there. So I kept getting it here, kept getting it here, kept getting it here. Couldn't line it up exactly. So it's now lined up. That was a pain. That was a real struggle. So I'm going to go and inflate the tyre now, set the bead, and then give you my thoughts on this tyre machine. Yeah, it won't bloody seat now. Of course it won't. Give up. So I'm just going to try a bit of bead grease in there to try and move the tyre around. See if that will move now. It just won't do it. I don't want to put my fingers in there because when it goes, it's going to go with a bang. It'll take your bloody finger off if you're not careful. Yet another reason why I don't do tyres. Normally bouncing a tyre like that will pop the bead out. Here it goes. That's one. Oh, no, see that's not set. Way! There you go. Done. Right, that's one tyre done. I've still got the other one to do. That has taken 2 hours. Was it worth it? You tell me. This is why I don't do tyres. So yeah, 2 hours to fit. And I've got the invoice for the machine here, for this machine. Does anybody want to put in the comments how much this machine cost from Germany? From Rabaconda Direct. It was €559. Now, 550 quid for that. 2 hours to change one tyre. Is it worth it? I don't know. You tell me. Put it in the comments. Word of warning, if you're going to go and buy one of these machines from Germany, you notice on the box, paid in full, because Mr. Parcel Force and Mr. HMRC wanted their share, which was an additional £115. So this machine didn't cost me €557 or whatever I just said. Yeah, €559. It was another 115 quid on top for customs and import duties. So that's thick end of 680 quid, something like that, 670 quid. How many tyres can you get changed for 670 quid? You tell me if it's worth it. If you're doing loads of track days and you've got super soft tyres that pop on, pop off, yeah. If you're just a average Joe, then you might do a set of tyres every couple of years. Well, leave it in the comments. Anyway, that's the Rabaconda Street Tyre Changer. That was a struggle. Anyway, let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. 680 quid, 670 quid for a tyre machine. 2 hours to do one tyre. I've still got to do the front. Yeah. Anyway, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you again on the next video.